Hi, we're Jaime and Cristina Farias, authors of The Money Funnel System, the common sense guide to financial organization. We want to welcome you to our first episode of Money Matters. Before we dive in, it's important to know that we do not have any degrees in finance, nor are we licensed to advise on or sell any financial products. We aren't professional speakers or teachers.
It's also important to know that we are two average middle-class Americans. We're parents to 4 children, ages 8, 6, 4, and 2. We have a single income along with bills that follow after it. And we have to make the most of every single dollar we have, just like everyone else. So what does this all mean to you? Well, we are not sitting here as professionals in finance. We are very well acquainted with what it feels like to experience the weight of financial stress and uncertainty. This is something that, according to statistics, many other people know as well.
Where did all our money go was the question that haunted Christina and I. We would ask things like, I thought we had X amount of dollars. Didn't we just get paid? How are we going to cover the next bill? Or the statement that seemed to follow us the most, well,
Let's just transfer from our savings. While we were not spending extravagantly on this or that, or drowning in credit card debt, we just didn't have a good handle on things. We were being lazy and being poor stewards of the money we had coming in. Life has a way of waking you up to your mistakes, though.
On April 10th, 2015, I received a phone call from my employer that would put us in a position we weren't expecting. After a 5-minute phone call, I went from an engineer for a large oil service company to unemployed. We had 2 small children with our third on the way. We had 2 mortgages to cover. My income was our only income because Christina was and still is a stay-at-home mom. Change. It can be unwanted and unexpected. In our case, it was both. We had a small savings and a severance package to hold us over. But the big question was, how long could we make that money stretch until we ran out? Though it looked like a season of drought, God was using it as a season of growth. We just didn't know it at the time.
So 4 months later, Jaime would finally secure a job with a local construction company here in the RGV. Our prayers were finally answered, but God had so much more for us. He began working on our hearts and how we would look at our finances. Things became clear. We knew and understood we were suffering from financial disorganization, and we needed a solution quick. A few months into Jaime's job, he called me, parked on the side of the road, full of excitement. He had a plan.
We needed a system that made the annoying process of paying bills and recurring monthly expenses simple, easy, and organized. We needed a system that could help control our spending, all while helping us set a clear vision for what we were going to do with the money we had. We learned that separating our payments from all other spending was key for us to be more responsible with the money we had coming in. We learned that we could control our spending by purposefully funneling money into specific accounts. We no longer wondered where it went. We realized immediately that the issue was not the amount of money we were bringing home, it was what we were doing with it, and in some cases not doing with it, that ultimately caused our stress. We were financially disorganized.
So what does it mean to be financially disorganized? Rather than tell you, we'll show you. This is what we call the all-in, all-out one account system. All your money goes into one checking account and it flows out of the same account. There are 2 primary issues that stem from running your finances this way. One is a flawed visual perception of your income. The second is a lack of self-control over your spending. The 2 really go hand in hand. If you look at this tube of marbles, you will see your entire month's income. It looks pretty nice right after payday, so let the spending begin. However, you can also see that there are several different colors: yellow, red, blue, green. This is a visual of what your account looks like when you are running everything out of it. You have expenses like Starbucks, birthday parties, dance classes, electric bill, Target runs,
Kids' shoes, mortgage, water bill, filling up the cars with gas, new tires for the van, The list goes on and on.
With all of these transactions happening daily, how can you keep track of what you're spending? More importantly, how do you know you haven't spent money that is needed for an upcoming bill?
Or how do you know that you won't be facing an unexpected crisis at the end of the month? How do you determine how much money you actually have to attack that debt that's been hanging around? Rather than having the answers to these questions, we pretty much were winging it every single month. We typically had some money left over, but that's not to say we weren't sweating by the time the next check came in. It's kind of like eating straight out of a bag of chips. Hey, so what are you up to?
I'm just having a snack.
That's a pretty large bag of chips there.
Yeah, but I'm not going to eat all of it.
Well, you know what they say, once you start, it's hard to stop.
Oh,
What happened?
I guess I did eat all of them. Don't you hate when this happens? It can be really tough to not devour a bag of chips. The crunchy, salty snack can be addicting and hard to stop munching on. The best way to avoid overindulging is portion control. By dividing out the large amount of chips into smaller portions, we ensure that we make it last longer and don't overeat the allotted amount we should for the day.
Now, if you haven't realized it yet, the big bag of chips is your paycheck. This could be coming in once a week, every other week, or maybe even once a month. However often your paycheck is coming in, the goal is to make as much of it stretch until the next one arrives. When payday comes in, that's typically the green light to start spending. Soon the raw reality hits. Money that was needed for bills was spent during online shopping. Giving yourself access to all your money at one time can lead your household into financial stress. We like to say take care of your household before spending, instead of spending before you take care of your household.
Right. So financial disorganization is wreaking havoc on our lives and well-being. We have a solution for this crisis: the money funnel system. Now, before we dive into this, we have to address the question we get most often.
The elephant in the room.
Is this like the Dave Ramsey plan? While we love Dave and love his baby steps plan, this indeed is not that. How can you even begin to think about throwing money at debt if you don't even know how much you literally have left over to work with after all of your bills are paid? This was our problem. We like to say that our system is the engine that puts the Dave Ramsey baby steps into overdrive.
So what is the money funnel system? Remember our example of the all-in, all-out one-account system? Let's imagine there's $5,000 in this account. Let's also imagine that $3,000 of this money is for bills, leaving you only $2,000 to spend after your bills are paid. Rather than looking at it this way, let's look at it like this. Green is for your payments account, and yellow is for your spending account. The green marbles represent the money needed to run your household for the month, which is $3,000. The yellow marbles represent the money that you can choose to spend as you please. The sum of the two is your $5,000, your total monthly income. Do you see how you already have your flawed visual perception fixed? We aren't going to tell you what to do with this money. What we are going to challenge you to do is to come up with a goal for this money and try your best to not spend it all.
Can you see how looking at your money this way is much easier than looking at your money this way? When you run the money funnel system, you correct your flawed visual perception. With the all-in, all-out one-account system, it looks like we have more money to spend than we actually do. Because we see so much in the account, we underestimate how quickly we can gobble it all up. Again, if your income is $5,000, but $3,000 collectively belongs to your electric company, your water company, cable, cell phone, credit card, landlord, insurance, and on, all you are actually left with to spend is $2,000 after all those bills are paid. With the money funnel system, you have the money needed for your payments set aside in one bank while you keep the remaining in a separate bank.
Now, portion control is applied. When we see more, we spend more. It's quite difficult to practice control when you don't portion things out. You simply can't practice control once you've lost it. When we move the excess money away from money we needed for our bills, it automatically restricted access to spend it. We took portion control a step further though. If you notice, we not only separated our spending money from our payments money, but we moved our payments to a separate bank and restricted access to it. We spent money at a bank 1 and paid our bills at a bank 2. Remember the statement that followed us all the time. Let's just transfer from our savings. Well, now transferring between accounts is not that simple. We'll be diving into the specifics of each account over the next few weeks. But we want to touch on one more important aspect of finances that should be addressed.
There is a fine line in finances. There's a big difference between being able to afford something and momentarily having the money to buy something. One means it is within your means and budget to purchase that item. Spending the money will not disrupt your ability to make your necessary payments. The other simply means that you have money to purchase something, but have you paid your bills yet? By spending the money, you will be pushing off a necessary payment and essentially cause undue stress on yourself and your household. So which side of the line do you fall? Is your habit to spend money until you run out of money? Or do you spend within your financial reality or within your financial means?
Understanding how not to cross the line can save you a great amount of heartache. What we love about running the Money Funnel system is that it puts your financial reality front and center. There's just no getting around it. The numbers don't lie. When you run our system, you can divide and conquer your finances.
But don't let the practicality of this system cause you to overlook God's sovereignty involved. Shortly after we released the book, we soon realized that this system was more than simply a way to organize your finances. It was actually about stewardship. We are called to be good stewards of the money that God has provided for us. In order to be good and faithful stewards, we need to have the right perspective. And for some, there needs to be some discipline implemented. This was what we needed.
While Dean Wall says Christian financial stewardship means our money is to be seen as God's money, it is from God, and as disciples, we should use it for God's purposes and glory. It's all about perspective. At the beginning of our marriage, this was not how we saw things. For example, our tithe was not our first fruits. It was our leftovers after we spent money.
Psalms 24:1 says, "The earth and everything in it, the world and its inhabitants belong to the Lord." There's some perspective for you. In short, our money is simply not our money. Hebrews 12:11 says, "No discipline seems enjoyable at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it." When we first began setting up the system, it took a great deal of effort on our part to review our monthly payments, do the projections, set up auto drafts, and cut our expenses where we needed to. It wasn't necessarily fun, but we sure did reap the rewards and benefits from it later. And we're still living it now.
Listen, God knows what's best for His people. When we align ourselves with His ways and His thinking, life does not automatically run perfectly, but we do get to take part in His perfect plans. He has a purpose for us and the money He gives us. This is why how we look at our finances and what we do with our money is so important. This is why money matters.
If you want a head start on learning about this step-by-step process, you can get a copy of our book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, or Books A Million websites. You can also contact the BT Bookshop for a special discounted price.
Before we let you go, ask yourself the following questions. First, do you find yourself wondering where all your money went at the end of the month?
Do you have financial goals that you'd like to accomplish, but don't believe that you have the funds to do it?
Do you struggle to maintain your monthly budget of expenses and spending?
Do you feel like you lack control over your finances and spending?
Do you want to be more generous with your money, but feel financially inadequate to do so?
Do you ever miss a monthly payment thus resulting in overage charges, late fees, or penalties?
Do you spend too much money and put your household in trouble because you can't pay a bill? If you answered yes to any of these questions, come back next week to learn more about what we are teaching. And if none of these apply to you, first, congratulations. You're in a good place. We'd still like you to join us again, but this time, invite a friend.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram for encouragement and tips to get your system up and running. Apply the step-by-step process we outline in the book. Customize it where you need to. Put in some discipline, and you will soon be enjoying a sense of control and financial freedom most think is unattainable. Thanks so much for joining us on our first episode of Money Matters. We can't wait to see you next week. Stay safe, be well, and God bless.